My favorite mission place that we went to was a nursing home. And there was this man there, his name was D, and he had to have had some spinal injury. He could only move like these 2 fingers of his right hand. But he knew everything he was doing, and he would play dominoes with us. And he'd play bingo, and he knew everything he was doing. He was such a nice man. And he blessed us on the way back home, too. Bless your drivers, bless your church group, bless everyone. It was just a nice experience to see. Fun moment.
Random time fun. Okay. Well, I was one of the lucky people and got to be with Bill, and we went to Salvation Army, and we had to make these skits in the morning for the kids that were there. We had to put the skit on, and Bill got the lucky part of playing Goliath. So I was David, but on the other hand, and I got to slay him or whatever, and he made an awesome scene when he fell down. Kids were just laughing and everything. It was pretty great there. So that was probably the second day we were at Salvation Army, I think. It was a blast there. We had fun playing with the kids afterwards. And one of my greatest moments down there was probably visiting the Arch. I thought it was really cool. It was like one of the tallest buildings in the United States right now since the Twin Towers fell over. And they have like a museum underneath it and everything, and it's got all this civil rights and stuff. It was pretty sweet underneath there. That was in St. Louis. And that was about it. I had a lot of fun down there though.
When we were down there, we had 2 other churches that came down there also. The other one was from the Twin Cities, so we had 2 Minnesota groups, and the other group was from Michigan, so the Northerners were represented well for the week. And there was 60 of us all together with children and adults, and so they split us up into, about 6 different work teams and sent us out to do different work sites. And our work team, I had Maddie and Amanda with me, and then 3 people from the Twin Cities. And all girls, so yeah, we had the girl power team. And the first day we worked at Voice for Calvary, and we carried all these heavy windows and doors to the basement that Maddie talked about. The second day we went to the nursing home, and we worked at a Boys and Girls Club. And I think the most memorable part of the week for me was we went and visited Medgar Evers' house. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with him, but he was a civil rights activist who was shot and killed on the front driveway of his home when he was coming home at night. And we got to go to his house and see the bullet hole that went through the window and the hole in the house and where he had died. And that was, I think, very, very emotional for all of us to see that. And brought it kind of back to home because you realize he lived in this house with his wife and his children, and the fear that they had. I mean, they wouldn't even let the children into the front part of the house because they were always afraid that somebody might shoot through the windows and everything. And just to realize that what they were afraid of finally happened. So that was pretty impressive.
When we go to a mission site, there are 2 main functions that happen. One is that you either go and work with children in all kinds of capacities, and another one is that they'll do work sites, such as painting murals on walls or helping in shelters, just plain cleaning up places. Interesting, the level of poverty in one place. I didn't work at this site, but we had debrief at the end of the day. One particular guy said they were cleaning out all of these old cans. There were 7, 10, 12 years expired food for people, and they said, you just have to get rid of this. You cannot give this away at a shelter anymore. So they were sorting through these cans, things that were as old as 5 years expired, that we can make that work. We can, if the cans aren't rusty or whatever. So they took these old cans of vegetables and fruit and whatever, and they were going to put them in the garbage. And before they got to the garbage, groups of people met them and said, no, you can't throw that away. And this food that was ready to go in the garbage, rusty cans, whatever, other people took them away because that was their food for the week. It was just a real eye opener for the people thinking the worst of the worst that they were throwing out from the food shelters. People were taking, saying, "No, we'll take that. We want it. We have to have something to eat for the week." So it just opened your eyes to the level of poverty in places. So that was a work site, but we were assigned to work with kids. And that all sounds like fun, except we were supposed to do a teaching lesson for an hour in front of 150 squirmy little kids that were from kindergarten through 7th grade, and they had about 6 advisors for 150 kids. And so Nathan and John and who else was with us? The 2 Johns? And Lucas, Kels, Amber and Rachel. They said, "Oh, this is not going to work." When we started talking, when the leaders of the place, the Salvation Army, were talking, these kids are just squirrely and all over, and they're not listening. And Nathan is going, "This isn't going to work. How are we going to be able to present our issue?" And we were assigned from the Salvation Army the skits of David and Goliath, and the story of joy and the joy that David had. To make a long story short, they practiced and they got these skits already, and so I was Goliath because I'm the tallest guy there, and they killed me and all that stuff. And then I slid off into a hallway, because I exited from my part, and they did 4 skits of David and of David's life. To make a long story short, as they presented their skits, the whole audience, you could have heard a pin drop. These guys, our students, just did phenomenal. So I can't see out there because I'm in this hallway and I'm trying to be out of sight. They just had these kids' attention. It was just awesome. It was beautiful to see what they did. So they did some teaching, and then they debriefed with the kids and asked them questions, and what happened here to have the kids sort of understand. And the kids are so excited to not just scream and holler, but they wanted to be called on, and they wanted to give their response. And our students just did awesome. And so I just was so impressed with the level of work that our kids did. But we also said that before we started the week, we said, "Look, this is going to be hot. This is going to be really hot. And so if we're sweating and you're hot and you complain, well, I'm not going to listen very well, because that's what we came for." And we knew it coming down here, and we said, "Just plan that we're going to sweat all day. You're going to be hot." And so every day, sure enough, it was 100 degrees and really humid, and not like close to 100. It was 100 every day, and we were soaking wet all day. We just sweated all day, and not a complaint. Not a complaint from the Painesville youth. It was fabulous. Our youth just championed, stood, and we took a shower, went back, and our saving grace is we stayed in a church that had air conditioning, but during the day, we were just hot. That was it. And still, despite all that, they were talking about having fun and playing with the kids, and that was cool. Some of our youth, it was their first time going, like Maddie. You'd never know that. When we were showing up to start the week, Maddie is saying to me, "I don't know how this is going to go. What's going to happen? Who am I going to meet? How's this? I said, "Maddie, I think this will be fine. This is a really safe place. It'll get you involved in a lot of activities." By the end of the week, Maddie about owned the place. That and Amanda Hensel. Amanda is shy. As you can tell, Amanda is not a woman who says a whole lot of words. Every time I turned around down in Jackson, Mississippi, that's pretty far from home, Amanda was not hanging around with the Painesville kids. She was in this group of students from I don't even know where, from Minnesota, from Mississippi, from Michigan, and she was leading the conversation and showing kids a new card game, and Amanda just stepped up to the plate. I mean, and it goes on and on. Our students has represented Painesville so well. They just really were shining stars. You'd be so proud of them out on the road. And there was no whining. There was no complaining. There was a small incident in the car. Something was said. I don't even know what it was all about. But my point is this. On the way home, the girl started talking and said, I didn't know that hurt your feelings. And the conversation went like this. "I'm really sorry I said that." And oh, it's okay. I mean, rather than, "You shouldn't have been," no, it was, "I'm really sorry that happened. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings." Even if there were small issues, they were resolved so beautifully. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. It was just really a treat to travel with these guys, and they certainly showed Painesville off really well.
I just want to wrap up by saying this is a Beyond Youth Work site, which means it's also educational, but the kids are also supposed to try to bring it back to their own community. So in the video you saw, you are here to go, and that's their project, just to bring it back to the community. So I really want you to make sure you tag these guys, talk to them. If you have a project where you think they can be helpful, let's get them going and working in our own community. And just thank you for your support.